Guys, welcome to my channel C Engineering. As you know, each and every computational exam possesses 15 to 25% marks of geotechnical engineering. So if you want to get a good score, then you must have to complete geotechnical engineering. Here I will revise the geotechnical engineering by three parts. This is the first part. So let's go. Introduction to soil mechanics. What is soil mechanics? Soil mechanics is a discipline of civil engineering involving the study of soil, its behavior, and application as an engineering material. So, basically, in soil mechanics, we will deal with soil, its behavior, and characteristics when we apply different types of load, stress, and their application as an engineering material. So, soil is fully composed of different types of rocks. The main types of rocks are igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks, and metamorphic rocks. Igneous rocks form from crystalline bodies of cooled magma. Some examples are granite, basalt, dacite, dolerite, gabbro. Try to remember all the example. Uh, if the magma cooled on the earth, on the surface of earth, then it's called volcanic igneous rocks. And the example is basalt. If the magma cooled inside the earth, then it's called plutonic igneous rocks. And example is granite. If the magma cooled at a shallow depth inside the earth, then it's called hyperbasal igneous rocks. And example is dolerite. Sedimentary rocks. Sedimentary rocks formed from layers of cemented sediments. Try to remember the term layer. Sedimentary rocks formed by layer. Example is chert, chalk, claystone, coal, dolomite, etc. Metamorphic rocks. Metamorphic rocks formed by the alternation of existing rocks due to heat from igneous intrusion or pressure due to crustal movement. Metamorphic rocks mainly formed due to the heat and pressure. If this option is there, then it will be metamorphic rock. Example is gneiss, hornfels, marble, migmatite, etc. Metamorphism. Metamorphism is alternation of structure of rock by heat and pressure. So basically in metamorphism, igneous rocks and sedimentary rocks change into metamorphic rocks by the action of heat and pressure. Some of the example are shale to slate. Here shale is sedimentary rocks, but slate is metamorphic rocks. And basalt to laterite. Here basalt is igneous rocks and laterite is metamorphic rocks. Other example are limestone to marble, sandstone to quartzite, granite to gneiss. Types of soil. Soils as they found in different regions can be classified into two broad categories. First one is residual soil, second one is transported soil. Residual soil. Residual soils are found at the same location where they have been formed. So they have not transported from one place to another place. Generally, the depth of residual soil varies from 5 to 20 meter. Transported soil. Transported soil means it's replaced from one place to another place. It will be mm, by different types of force. Examples are alluvial deposits. If the soil deposited or transported by rivers, then it's called alluvial deposits. If the soil is transported by water and it takes place in a lake, the term lake is, then it will be lacustrine deposit. If the soil transported by river and it's deposited in seawater, then it's called marine deposit. If the soil deposited by transported by glacier, then it's glacier deposit. If the soil transported by wind, then it's aeolian deposit or loess. If the soil transported by gravity forces, then it's talus or colluvial soil. Phase relationship of soil. So normally soil possesses three phases. One is solid, another water, and another is air. This solid and combination of water and air is void. So if the void is partially saturated, means there will be water and air. So it will be three phase: soil, water, and void. For two phase system, if the void is completely filled by water, then there will be two phase, water and solid. If the soil completely dry, then void will fill with air, then it will be two phase system, air and solid. Properties of soil. Void ratio. Void ratio means volume of void by volume of solid, and porosity means volume of void by total volume into 100. The difference between void ratio and porosity is, here in denominator it's void volume of solids, and in porosity it's total volume. Degree of saturation, volume of water by volume of void into 100. Air content, volume of air by volume of void. So degree of saturation plus air content will be 1, because VW plus VA, it will be VB, and VB by VB is equal to 1. Percentage of air voids, VA by total volume into 100. And another term N means porosity into air content. Water content, W is equal to weight of water by weight of solid. Specific gravity, G is equal to unit weight of solid by unit weight of water. Dry unit weight, weight of solid by volume. Bulk unit weight, weight of solid plus weight of water by volume of solid plus volume of void. Submerged unit weight, means gamma saturated by gamma W. Their interrelationship. Void ratio, you have to remember all the formula for it will come as a numerical for 1 or 2 marks. Here E is equal to N by 1 minus E, N is equal to E by 1 plus E, ES is equal to GW. You also can remember this by another and gamma is equal to GS plus ES into gamma W by 1 plus E. If you put ES is equal to GW, then it will be 1 plus W into GS into gamma W by 1 plus E. Dry unit weight, GS plus gamma W by 1 plus E. In dry unit weight, S will be 0, so this term will vanish. Also gamma D is equal to gamma by 1 plus W, W is water content. And gamma submerged, here gamma submerged is equal to G minus 1 into gamma W by 1 plus E. Example, a soil void has ratio 0.72, moisture content 12%, and GS is equal to 2.72. Determine its dry unit weight, moist unit weight, and the amount of water to be added per meter cube to make it saturated. And gamma W is given there, 9.81 kilonewton per meter cube. So first we have to calculate gamma D. The formula of gamma D is gamma S GS into gamma W by 1 plus E. Here G is equal to 2.72 and gamma W is equal to 9.81 by 1 plus E. E is equal to 0.72. Here we get gamma D is equal to 15.51 kilonewton per meter cube. And moist unit weight, the formula is gamma is equal to gamma D into 1 plus W. Here we get already the gamma D 15.51 and 1 plus W is equal to 1 plus 0.12, W is equal to 12%. So it will be 17.38 kilonewton per meter cube. And if the soil is completely saturated, then the unit weight will be, formula will be G plus E by 1 plus E. Here S is equal to 100% means 1, that's why it's there but not visible, into gamma W. If you put the value, then you will get 19.62 kilonewton per meter cube. So water to be added will be 19.62 minus 17.38, so it will be 2.24 kilonewton per meter cube. Another example, the dry density of a sand with porosity of 0.387 is 1600 kg per meter cube. Find the void ratio of the soil and the specific gravity of the soil. Gamma W, it's given 1000 kg per meter cube. porosity is equal to 0.387, gamma d is 1600 kg per meter cube. So they have given you porosity and gamma d. So by porosity we can find void ratio. The formula is E is equal to n by 1 minus n. Here we get E is equal to 0.631, and gamma d formula is Gs into gamma w by 1 plus E. So by this formula, if we put Gs, then it will be 1 plus E by gamma w into gamma d. So if we put the value, then we will get specific gravity 2.61. Particle size distribution. Particle size distribution, D60 mean that particle size at 60% finer by weight, D30 size at 30% finer by weight, D10 size at 10% finer by weight. The effective size is known as D10, and uniformity coefficient C is equal to D60 by D10. Curvature coefficient CC is equal to D30 whole square by D60 into D10. If both the Cu and Cc is equal to 1, then the soil is single sized soil. If the Cu is greater than 5, then it's well graded soil. If Cc is between 1 and 3, then also it a well graded soil. If the Cu is less than 3, then it's uniform soil. Consistency of soil. So as you can see in this figure, first concentrate on solid. In this solid, there it's not completely saturated, means the void is partially filled with air and water. As you can see here, there is Va. Va means volume of water, volume of air and volume of solid. So air is present here, but as you increase the water content, then at the time of Ws, means shrinkage limit, the soil is completely saturated, means total volume of air is filled with, total volume of void is filled with water. So when the solid when the state solid change into semi solid, it's called shrinkage limit. And when semi solid change into plastic, then it's plastic limit. When plastic change into liquid, it liquid limit. And the defines plasticity index. Plasticity index IP is equal to WL minus WP. WL means liquid liquid limit minus plastic limit. Activity means IP by percentage of clay. Liquidity means W minus WP by IP. Here W is equal to natural moisture content. In liquidity index, there is WP. In liquidity, try to remember like this: when there is liquidity index, WL is not there, but when in consistency index, WL is there. In consistency index, WL minus W by IP, and liquidity index plus consistency index is equal to 1. Li plus Ci is equal to 1. Toughness index means IP by IF. Here IP is equal to plasticity index and IF is equal to flow index, and flow index is equal to W2 minus Wn by log n by log n1 by n2. Example: the following test result were obtained for a fine grained soil. WL is equal to 48%, and plastic limit 26, clay content 55, silt content 35, sand content 10%, and in situ moisture content 39%. Classify the soil, determine its activity and liquidity index. So plasticity index, IP is equal to WN minus WP, and it's 22%. And here the formula of A line is 0.73 into 48 minus 20. The formula of A line is 0.73 WL minus 20, and from there we get A line is equal to 20.44%. So the the plasticity index lies above the A line, means it's clay. So liquid limit lies between WL lies between 35 to 50, so it's intermediate, so it will be a clay of intermediate plasticity. As you can see here, if the W lies between 35 to 50, then it's intermediate, and this is A line. If the IP lies above the A line, then it's clay, so it's CI. Activity means IP by clay content. IP is equal to 22 and clay content 25, so 0.88. Liquidity index means W minus WP by IP. Here natural moisture quantity is 39% and WP is 26% by 22, so it's 0.59. So the clay will be normal activity and soft consistency. Size and soils, different types of soil and their size. For very coarse soil, boulder size varies above the 300 mm, cobbler size 80 to 300, coarse soil gravel coarse gravel 20 to 80, fine 4.75 to 20, sand coarse sand 2 to 4.75, medium 0.425 to 2 mm, fine 0.075 to 0.425 mm. Silt size for fine soil. So in fine soil there is silt and clay. Silt lies between 0.0022 to 0.075 mm and clay lies below the 0.002 mm. Grading of soil. In grading of soil, in Y axis its percentage finer and in X axis its log size. So if you see the curve A, here curve A, it starts from silt, middle of the silt, and it passes through sand and gravel, and then it touches a little amount of cobbles. So it's poorly graded medium sand. So most of its part itself covered sand and gravel. So it's poorly graded medium sand. B, if the line passes only two sections, then it's well graded. So look at B. Here it passes silt, little amount, sand and gravel. So it's well graded gravel and sand, and having equal amounts of gravel and sand, that's why it's gravel sand. And in A it's only passes sand, so it's poorly graded sand. C, it passes sand, gravel and cobbles, so it's gap graded cobble sand. So it passes sand and cobble, but there is gap. Curve D, here as you can see that sandy silt means it have passes a little amount of sand and most amount of silt, complete silt and little amount of sand, so sandy silt, like this. Plasticity chart. Here in plasticity chart, if the WL is lies between below 35%, then it's low plasticity. If the W is lies between 35 to 50%, then in intermediate plasticity. If it lies above 50, then it high plasticity. In plasticity index, in Y denominator, in Y axis it's plasticity index, and in X axis it liquid limit. So as you can see, in if the plasticity index is between 4 to 7 and it's below 20 to 25 and it's above A line, then it's called CLML, means low plasticity of clay and silt. If this is A line and there is also another line that is called U line, U line lies between like this, and formula of A line is 0.73 into WL minus 20, U line 0.9, WL minus 8. If the soil lies below the A line, it's silt, and it's above, then clay. Low 35, 35 to 50 intermediate, above 50 it's high. So there is symbol and coarse soil classification. If it is GW means well graded gravel, GP poorly graded gravel, GM silty gravel, GC clay gravel. As you can see here, GC, here C terms is coming first and G last. HW well graded sand, W means well graded and S means sand, P means poor graded, S means sand, so SP. Fine salt FL, FL means low plasticity silt, Mi means intermediate plasticity silt, MH means silt of high plasticity, just like this. Clay minerals. Clay minerals, the important minerals are kaolinite, montmorillonite or elite. Kaolinite is 2-layer unit and its size is 8 angstrom. It possesses hydrogen bond, but it does not possess hydrogen bond. Sorry. Here hydrogen bonds does not permit water to enter, and kaolinite minerals are stable and do not expand under saturation. And this is the important term, stable and do not expand under saturation. Montmorillonite, it's 3-layer units and having 10 angstrom. The bonding is very weak and water can enter easily. A large quantity of water causing swelling and shrinkage. Elite mineral, 3-layer units and 10 angstrom. This mineral is very stable and does not swell or shrink. Potassium ion present. Stresses in ground. Total stress. When a load is applied to soil, it's carried by the solid grains and the water in the pores. Total stress thus increases with depth and with unit weight. So formula is gamma V is equal to gamma into Z. If there is a water above the soil or ground surface, then you have to add the water stress also. Pore water pressure. The pressure of water in the pores of the soil is called pore water pressure. It depends on the depth below the water table and the condition of seepage flow. Here the formula is U is equal to gamma W into H. So if when the positive sign will come, when the positive water pressure will come, it will be below water table, and if there is a downward seepage flow, and it will be negative if water table, if the soil above water table and there is a upward seepage flow. Effective stress principal or effective stress means sigma minus U, total stress minus pore water pressure. And there is an example for the soil deposit shown below. Draw the total stress, pore water pressure and effective stress diagram. The water table is at ground level. So water table is at ground level. So at 4 meter the total stress will be 1.92 into 4, and at 11 there will be this plus this, means 7.68 for this, and rest 7 into 2.1, so 22.38. And pore water pressure for 4 meter it will be 4 ton per meter cube meter square. For 11 meter it will be 11 ton per meter square. And effective stress will be this minus this minus this. At 4 m 4 meter 7.68 minus 4, so it will be 3.68, and at 11 meter it will be 22.38 minus 11, so it 11.38 ton per meter square. Seepage flow, as you can see in the, it's static, means there is no flow through the soil, and it, as you can see, there is a head difference. If there will be a head difference, then through the soil there will be flow. Here the head difference is here, so the water will pass through like this, so it will be through the soil, it will be upward. Here the head is higher this side, the soil and the water will pass through like this, means downward. Gradient means HL by L, and critical hydraulic unit means G minus 1 by 1 plus E. Static condition. So in static condition, sigma will be gamma W into HW plus gamma saturated into Z. Pore water pressure will be gamma W into HW plus Z. HW this one and Z this. For upward flow situation, the pore water pressure, here we will add I Z into gamma W. This is the difference. And for downflow situation, here in pore water pressure we will subtract I Z gamma W. So in effective stress, if we do sigma minus U, then this term gamma W HW and here also gamma W HW will vanished, and gamma saturated Z minus gamma W Z will be gamma submerged Z minus I Z gamma W. So in upward flow there is a stress which is decreasing by I Z gamma W, and in downward situation the stress increased by I Z gamma W. So quicksand condition. In quicksand condition, if the effective stress is 0, then it will be I is equal to IC. Effective stress 0 means gamma submerged Z is equal to I Z gamma W.